beat the Titans, not a very good team, 52-14. And Jared Goff had 85 passing yards. So there have been 3 great offensive lines in about the last decade. There was the Dak rookie year for about 3 years, 3 Pro Bowlers, the Dak O-line, the Eagles before Jason Kelce just retired, dominant 3 Pro Bowlers, and this Detroit Lions offensive line. Took them a couple of games this year to figure it out, but they're a power team. And they have more touchdowns right now, 25, than interceptions, or incompletions, excuse me. More touchdowns than incompletions in their last 5 games. And, I mean, they had 3 different players throw passes yesterday. 6 different Lions actually scored. And they're doing it in special teams. Their punt returner had about 190 yards. They had a big kickoff return. The kicker's good. We always worry about the back end of their defense, but Jameson Williams, the receiver's been out. Aiden Hutchinson out for the year, has no impact. I mean, every team in the NFL wants their quarterback to be comfortable, right? You want your quarterback to be comfortable, but it's like Jared Goff's in a lazy boy recliner back there. I mean, he's literally an armchair quarterback. So he's got time to throw. He's got a dominant run game. The special teams, the protection, they are a buzzsaw right now. And Tennessee, I mean, that honestly felt, it was almost collegiate in the second half. It felt like Alabama and the Saban dynasty and Citadel just came to Tuscaloosa. It was a complete, utter mismatch. And they remind me now that Dallas team with Dak wasn't good enough at quarterback. They won 13 games, though, and they just rolled over people. And we said this all the time. It is hard. If you have a good bullpen in baseball, it's hard to be a bad team. If you score like the average runs. And it's hard if you have an offensive line as good as Dak's early O-lines. I mean, Dak was a rookie and won 13 games. The Eagles, before Jason Kelce retired, and this Detroit team, I said this a couple weeks ago. It feels almost inevitable. Kansas City, who wins every big game, and Detroit feel like they're headed to the Super Bowl. Points per game, yards per play, offensive touchdowns, points per drive, first, second, first. It is really something to behold. Don't forget, Colin Wright.
Okay. Well, that was a quick little segment. Let's talk about this. This game was wild. This is one of the most wild things I've ever seen. Right, Goff 12 for 15, 85 yards, yet 3 touchdowns, and a win of 52-14. Obviously, because of many short yard fields. Getting tongue tied on that one. They scored 52 points and they only ran 47 plays. I mean, it's just wild. They were only 3 for 9 on third down, right? They had 10 minutes less time of possessions. The Lions only had 225 total yards. I mean, it's just insane, right? I mean, we can point out random plays, but I don't even think it really matters. A Gibbs 70-yard touchdown. I mean, it was just like a man playing with kids, right? Like, honestly, every play felt that way, right? Obviously, the 90-yard touchdown punt return. They were 5 for 5 in the red zone. I mean, it was just like a bunch of grown men, all in their prime, 26 years old, playing with 10-year-olds. I mean, that's honestly what it felt. You don't ever want to overreact to a game like the Titans, right? You just don't. And I understand some people want to be like, oh, well, they have a good defense and this, that, and the third. It's tough even if you have a good defense, when your offense is so bad as well, or other aspects of your team are so well. But this was obviously just pure domination. I've been saying this now for weeks and weeks and weeks. The Lions absolutely have the best punch in football. They are Mike Tyson. When you look at, for instance, what the Kansas City Chiefs struggled. They were fortunate to get out of the way with the win against the Raiders. Okay? The Raiders, who they hate, who they think are just nothing, right? They just got Patrick Mahomes to another interception in his own goal line. So you're talking about a team, because if Colin is saying, hey, it's inevitable that these two teams face in the Super Bowl, it's like, if the Lions can really double, triple, quadruple down, this is the year to win the Super Bowl. The Ravens just got beat by the Bengals. The Bills have been inconsistent. The Texans struggled to beat The Texans struggled to beat the Colts, whose quarterback threw for like 35%. I mean, Anthony Richardson was 10 for 32 and 175 yards, a touchdown and an interception, and yet they just barely won 23-20 for the Texans. The Eagles are starting to get their self going, but the 49ers, yeah, they beat the Cowboys, but the Cowboys are awful. Let's be serious here. And we don't know who the 49ers are right now because they're going to be getting players like Christian McCaffrey back and whatnot. So you know they're going to be better than what we see right now, of course. I mean, how could they not be? But the Packers, Jordan Love can't stay healthy, unfortunately for him, right? The Bears just lost to to a Hail Mary. Right? You have the Minnesota Vikings, who we know the Lions aren't afraid of. So, I mean, name the teams that are better than the Lions. I mean, name them. You can't. Name who can put up a more ferocious attack than the Lions. Whose offense would you pick right now? The Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens, the Philadelphia Eagles, the 49ers, the Vikings, the Texans, or the Detroit Lions? The answer is obvious. Like, you don't even have to think about it. But Mahomes and Andy, yeah, I know. Mahomes and Andy are amazing. What the Lions are doing right now is legendary. That's the difference. Legendary. This will all come down. The Lions win the Super Bowl. It will all come down to this. Outside of health, of course. That's always the big looming thing that obviously Lions fans have experienced. But outside of that, it'll come down to, can they get the job done when it matters most? It sounds simple to say. It does. But can they get the job done when it matters most? When they do face the Lions, can their offense attack? Can Gibbs rip off a 50, 60, 70-yard run? And then you close it out in the end zone. You don't have a big 70-yard run that you take it to the 10, and then you settle for a field goal. Or you go for it on 4th down with a trick play, and the ball just gets sailed overhead. Can the defense make the Kansas City Chiefs offense uncomfortable, or Lamar Jackson, or whoever you're playing in the Super Bowl? When you're in the NFC Championship game, do you get a big lead and you don't let the other team back in? Right? Can you execute? Can you get the job done when it matters most? Can you not beat yourself? Because that's what this feels like. Right? When you look at some of these other teams, you look at, again, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bills, whatever it means. In order for them to win, they need their best punch. They are trying to squeeze the most they can out of their teams in order to get these wins. Right? Their margin of error is so small. They're trying desperately to squeeze as much juice as they can. And it can be a potent juice if you are, like, say, the Ravens or the Chiefs, right? But the Lions, man, they got an entire orchard. I mean, they just do. They just got just an entire orchard. Just acres and acres and acres and acres and acres. So it's just all about preparation and execution. If you're a Lions fan, you got to be like, this is the year, man. This is the year. This is the year. The only way the Lions lose and do not win a Super Bowl this season is if they beat themselves. That's my Week 8 conclusion. The only way they do not win a Super Bowl is if they beat themselves. You're not going to tell me that they're going to play the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, the Ravens, or the Packers in the NFC Championship game, or the Eagles, or whatever, and that the Lions they just weren't good enough. The other team was just better than them. You're not going to tell me that. That there's just no way. There's just no way. So the only way the Lions do not win and do not conquer this year is if they beat themselves. And that's a great place to be in, obviously, because it all comes down to you. It all comes down to the Lions. It all comes down to the players, the coaching, preparation, execution. This is where it comes. I mean, again, that's why I don't want to react too much to a game against the Titans, 52-14, right? You do that against the Cowboys. Look at the Cowboys. The Titans, obviously, what do they have? 1 win or something? You got Mason Rudolph as the quarterback right now. So again, you don't want to overact too much, because I'm not a big fan of saying, oh, when you blow out a bad team, it shows how good you are. Look no further than the Dallas Cowboys in the last 3 years, who have done that plenty of times, only to not be good enough. Obviously, I do not think that's who the Lions are, but sometimes when you see such an insane win like this, it's hard not to have your mind be like, oh my God, what is this? Especially when you see a couple other teams play bad teams like the Chiefs. And again, I keep using the Chiefs as a reference point because they're the 2-time defending champions. They're the ones that have Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Spags, Travis Kelce, Hopkins now, Worthy. They're going to be getting their pieces back. Pacheco probably within the next few weeks. So they're going to be the scarier team if you do face them in the Super Bowl, because of their experience, because of their history, because of Mahomes and Andy and company. But they do not have the punch that the Lions have. They do not have this. No one in their right mind thinks that the Chiefs can hang 52 points. Nobody who actually has any understanding of how football works. But the Lions can do it all day, every day. I mean, it's just wild. So I continue to be fascinated by what the Lions are going to be able to achieve and what they're going to be able to do. Such an exciting, awesome team to watch, and I really hope this season can continue to run smoothly. No other unfortunate circumstances, and yeah, man, this is just all up to the Lions from this point on, is the way I see it. Just continue to be smart, and man, you'll be having a parade in Detroit. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Detroit Lions? Do you think that they're the most dominant team in football? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.